I want to make a couple comments here before I leave chapter 12 behind, namely that notice that this p-value is really, really small, which means, of course, that we're going to reject the null hypothesis because that's definitely less than alpha, which means there is sufficient evidence to support the claim that income and happiness are dependent. So that whole money can't buy you happiness, never saw this test, right? Because we just proved it. Money can buy you happiness, at least to some extent. Okay. So that's how to do that chi-square test. Now the matrix thing's a little tricky, so I wanted to show you just a little bit more. If it was a test for independence versus homogeneity, all right, so let me say that again. We did a test for independence. This is a test for homogeneity, but they don't actually work any different in terms of how you work them on the calculator. They're just different in how you think of the hypotheses, right? How you philosophize them, if you will. All right, so I've actually already done this. If you'll bear with me, my computer ate my video again. So let me go to matrix, and what you would do is you go to edit, and I had a 3 by 3 matrix in there before, but I would change it to a 2 enter by 3 matrix now. And then I went in and I typed all those numbers, 50, 30, 20, and so on. Then I go back to matrix and I go to edit and I pick number 2, which is letter B. And then what I went in here was I said I want 2 by 3, and it changed the matrix size to 2 by 3 for me. And then I typed over the old numbers with my new numbers. So this one, for example, I got by saying 100 times 100 divided by 300. Right? You take the row total times the column total, right? Column total's right here. Yeah, row total's right here. And then you divide it by the grand total, and you get that number. And then you do it again for 110 times 100 divided by 300, and so on. And you enter in every single one of those values by hand. Okay? I personally like doing it with the calculator because then it keeps all my accuracy. So if I take 110 times 100 divided by 300, enter. Life is grand. All right, so now I go to stat, tests, go to the bottom, and it'll get you to the bottom of the list. So if you press up, it takes you over. It kind of overlaps. So we want letter C, which is the chi-square test. And luckily for me, I left it in A and B. Now, if I had put it in, let's pretend, in matrix C and B, I would go to matrix, and I would pick number 3, and it would put the letter C, standing for matrix C, right there. But I didn't. I picked matrix A, so let me go back to matrix, second matrix, pick number 1. There we go, A and B. I mean, if you're worried about it, just always leave things on A and B, and you'll be grand. All right, then you go down to calculate, and you press enter. And you can see that your chi-square statistic is really, really big, i.e. your p-value is really small. So let me write up this hypothesis test. It's on the next page. So let me type this up just a little bit. Oops, and I forgot to mention that if you go look at that matrix, matrix B, let me go grab it, edit it. You can actually type those numbers in right here. So this is 33.33, and this is 36.66 or 67, and so on. I didn't bother finishing them out. Okay, so now down here, step 1 would be that the proportions are equal for all 3 groups. Boys' preferences for these programs differ significantly. So we're saying the proportion of boys and girls that prefer each one of these groups is equal. And then the alternative to that would be that each one, or at least one of them, is different. Okay, step 2, we would need an alpha, but they gave it to us. Oopsie. There we go. Step 3, you need a chi-square statistic, but we got that when we ran the test. Let me run it again, hold on. Okay, so that chi-square statistic, is 19.318. All right, then our p-value, step 4, the p-value is equal to 6.384 e negative 5, which is 0.1234638.4, which means you are totally going to reject the null hypothesis because your p-value is so low. Poof, which means there is sufficient evidence to support the claim that boys and girls' preferences for TV programs differ significantly. All right, I'll see you back here in chapter 13.